I find this one of the more horrifying things I've seen happen in the American government. So the Commerce Secretary was on Fox News and said that Tesla was a buy stock, which is like my brain is having issues with this as a thing.
Wait. Slow down. Hang on. Say again?
The Commerce Secretary of America went on Fox News to say that Tesla was a buy, that the stock should be bought.
Why?
Well, because, well,
we know why.
No, actually, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't,
okay.
because the guy's name is Howard Lutnick. Let's talk about the reasons he gives. He gives because Elon Musk is the best person to bet on. Lutnick offered investment advice Wednesday's episode of Jesse Waters Pride Time. The American government said to buy Tesla stock specifically. And he also criticized the vandalism of Tesla vehicles, dealerships, and charging stations, and protests directed at the company.
Well, that's one of the reasons why the Tesla head was like, Musk has to go, or he needs to come back and be the boss because people are attacking us because of Musk's reputation. We're losing money.
Well, this is the thing. The thing to remember is Howard Lutnick is Commerce Secretary, but he also founded this other thing, a group called Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald, which is a massive firm of fund that has a huge amount of money in Tesla, just upgraded Tesla stock to a buy. So I like the article burying the lead. Tesla attracted an upgrade from Cantor Fitzgerald on Wednesday after the firm visited the company's gigafactory and AI data centers in Austin. The firm moved Tesla to an overweight rating after having it slotted at neutral. The recent sell-off was called an attractive buying opportunity. Of note, Cantor Fitzgerald was led for many years by Howard Lutnick until he was named Commerce Secretary by President Trump.
This is like a parody. This is like a Simpsons bit.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, all of this, it may be that he's trying to save his own ass. Sure. Because you have, like, again, because it's a thing to just note as a thing. Wile E. Coyote, Mark Rober driving the car. I don't know if you've seen it. The Tesla car going through the fucking wall and hitting the child and showing that Tesla's vision isn't quite up to snuff. This whole thing has been a big deal for one specific thing, and that is Tesla's stock price. So whatever Musk may be doing and everything else, there's actually a really interesting interplay of this news and the money and everything that's going on. Because Tesla peaked right around the time that Trump was just being sworn into office. It peaked at, just to set it up, peaked at a nice solid 426.50, which is fucking insane for a car company. It's hard to even put into words how insane this is for a car company. But since then, and this is a significant loss, we're talking about since 1/17th, so January 17th to now, so it's 2 months later, it has dropped down to 234 is where it's at today. So you're talking about a 40% loss in 2 months. This is really, really bad. But it's bad for Tesla, and it's bad for Tesla stockholders, and especially anyone who bought it when it was because it hasn't been above 240 like for a while. This is a new height. This giant mountain you can see, like of stock. It's been a while since it's been there, and it's but it fucks with one guy very specifically, and I want to just do a call out to one of my favorite little blogs on this. Is RSN, Reader Supported News. A bunch of people have some great articles there. This one guy goes into, and I want to read a little bit of this, but he goes into why this fucks with Musk and why this actually fucks with the power structure in America overall. Because Musk's money isn't like, if you guys give us super chats, we get a couple bucks. Musk's money isn't in a salary. It's not even in selling his stock. His money is in leveraged stock and how much Tesla stock he leverages. What he does is at some point he buys, he sells a bunch of stock on debt, and he takes out loans against stock, presuming that the price of that stock will go up. He has so many options that all he has to do is sell a handful of stock and buy a bunch of those options. I think his options are at like $6. So like if he pays some tax on it for gains, but like that's an insane amount. So he can buy that, and then he sells to make up for it if he gets in trouble. But he hasn't really gotten in trouble. And the way that the assets are leveraged is a big deal. And I want to kind of read this. And Sunday, I want you to help me. I need to make sure this gets across because this is really difficult shit, but it's kind of an important detail about how Musk's power is inside of debt and how debt works for the wealthy. Again, anyone who says that America shouldn't have debt is lying to you. Tesla's stock, this is on the 13th, so this was 2 weeks ago, closed down 15% today as it continues its collapse to start the year. It's now fallen over 50% from its all-time high in December. Elon Musk's wealth from Tesla as of this writing is now worth less than $100 billion, and that's before you factor out the large number of shares he's put up as collateral in order to take out debt. This is called leverage. In 2018, Jim Collins in Forbes detailed Elon's leverage games from 2010 to 2017, and I dug into SEC filings to update his chart through 2024. The chart looks like this, and I'm going to, it'll be on the screen in about 2 seconds here. But the way to think about this is shares pledged versus owned. And the ratio of debt to ownership is actually very, very much upside down. So Musk had, a leveraged ratio in 2010 of 17%. Generally speaking, he doubled that, went back down, and he kind of tried to keep it lower. As you can see, as we passed 2019, he moved into 50% plus leverage position, which means he's actually, at this point, upside down in the value of stock that he has. He's 58% leveraged in 2024, which is kind of incredible when you talk about, like, again, the amount of debt this is, but also what this is dependent on. Because the question is, as this guy will go into, is it has to do with what value he did this on. The thing that makes leveraging assets such a dangerous game is when they fall in value. The value of your debt does not fall with it. The value of your leveraged assets falls to where your debt equals 80% of the asset's value. Your debt can be called in by the bank who loaned it to you. If you don't have the cash to pay your debt or additional collateral to post to get you a healthier loan to value ratio under 80%, you have to crater your ownership in the asset by selling it to cover your debts. And if you're a large holder of an asset, simply selling it in bulk will crash the price, forcing you to sell even more of the asset. So if Musk has to sell, say, 10% of his stock in order to cover this, that doesn't mean he sells it at the price it's at. That's not how stock works. You don't just go free money. It's not monopoly. Like you put them up for sale, like trades. And then you crater the price. And especially if he does that big of a chunk, it would crater. And then as it craters, it causes other things. So it's a question of when he's leveraged. And here is the thing. It's tough to gauge. There's a couple dynamics that make this very tricky to guess Elon's debt burden. First, he's been accumulating millions of Tesla shares as he sells billions of dollars worth of Tesla stock, while also putting up millions of Tesla shares as collateral for debt. This is all thanks to options he's exercising at the same time he sells his core Tesla holding. So he sells, when you say core Tesla holdings, that's stuff he's granted as a founder or early ownership or whatever it is. Options are you literally being given a point in time that you have the ability to exercise the option of buying a stock at a price when that option was given to you. So I think he bought back Tesla stock at $6.24 a share, for example, which is insane. So he could sell $1 billion of Tesla stock between 240 and 350 per share. That was then. It would be probably somewhere between, significantly less now, like probably 200 to 240 per share. But with his options, he'd be able to buy it back at $6.24 a share. Second, Tesla did a stock split in 2022, which means the most recent number of shares owned don't relate to the number of actual shares owned. Combine this with his option and all the stock sales, it makes for a murky picture of Elon's finances. Tracking changes in the SEC filings still gives us a ballpark of how leveraged. He added the majority of his leverage in 2018 to 2019, right before Tesla's share price went parabolic. The bulk of his current debt burden likely came afterward. Before 2019, Musk's leveraged ratio was in his 30s. His ratio of stock posted to the collateral to own stock is the ratio. But from 2018 to 19, it jumped from 39 to 54%. This change gives us an idea of what a lot of his leverage is worth in dollar terms. We can zoom in on those prices and conclude that he could have $155 million in debts collateralized by his Tesla shares at about 80% lifetime value. More responsible posture of 40% LTV would give him $77 million in debts in 2019. Well, the question is, do we think he's a responsible person? And that's where it gets screwy, because do you think he's responsible? This is literally the question here. In 2021, Musk warped the dynamic with stock options. From 2020 to 2021, his pledged shares towards collateral in these Schedule 14A disclosures ballooned from 18.46 million to 88.33 million. But his own shares followed suit from 34 to 170. His leverage ratio decreased 3%. He has since more than doubled the number of shares he owns while tripling the shares he's put up for collateral. It's difficult to track his net worth through all this action. One thing these SEC filings do give you a sense of is when Elon took his debt out. And it's concentrated around his disclosures from 19, 21, and 23, when his leverage ratio jumped by 7%. His 2024 filing says he has the same number of shares owned and pledged as he did in 23. So he has 238.4 million Tesla shares pledged as collateral as far as we know. At current tanking Tesla prices, that collateral is worth little over $50 billion, meaning that at an 80% LTV, he would currently be in trouble with about $42 billion in debts. Well, my worst case scenario with math puts him around $38 billion. I doubt he's in this kind of trouble already, but this crude math demonstrates how precarious a situation he could find himself in depending on how dumb and reckless he's been. So this is the question. When we talk about this stock price and what this means and how dumb he is and how fucked he is and how much he's pushing for these things, trying to get these Starlink stock things, trying to get Tesla and getting people to buy the stock, he actually is on a curve towards a significant crash, the kind of crash that would actually be catastrophic for all the shareholders of Tesla, but at large, all of his companies, and the Trump administration, who's being bankrolled by him. Fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not nuts. Like, this is fucking crazy. Do you understand generally what I'm getting at here? Because it's the leverage ratio and the amount that's here. When you're talking about, generally speaking, he's probably $47 billion in leverage debt against what he owns with Tesla, and he's 58% leveraged. That we don't have to see significantly larger drops of Tesla stock. Not brand, but nothing that hasn't happened in the last couple of years. And Tesla's on its way to that. If we see a dip like we saw in 2023, where we dropped to 122, which is, by the way, feasible. I would say feasible.
Well, what you've identified, I mean, in terms of responsible, it's a different meaning of responsible than that now comes into play, which is, if this speculation is correct, that would suggest that the contrary to its protean history in the last couple of months, they're trapped. They actually have very limited things that they can do, which is scary, because what they're doing under those conditions is self-destructive to the max.
And when we talk about, and just because it's worth noting in chat, someone's like, what do you mean by bankrolled? I mean, not only was he during the election the second largest contributor to Trump's campaign, but hours after Trump promised to buy a Tesla, do you remember this, where he sat on the fucking White House lawn and shilled a car?
Yes, I do.
Reports of Elon Musk's plans to donate $100 million to mega super PACs emerged. He basically said, do this, I'll give you $100 million.
Yeah.
This happened. So the mega donor turned White House advisor spent more than $290 million supporting the president and his Republican allies. It's over $250 million through just super PACs in America PAC. Just that. That doesn't involve his other things. This would be another $100 million on top of that, which would put him closer and closer, and generally speaking, to $500 million one person has spent to support Donald Trump. And we've probably passed that in all reality. But again, it's $250 million in one PAC. And then him saying he's going to donate another $100 million. And we know of another $100 million he donated again. So it's like we're hitting this number of $500 million from one person to Trump. And lo and behold, Trump is doing everything he can to make him successful.
I think we're screwed. I think we're actually screwed. Damn. That's my commentary. Damn.
I mean, we're screwed, but it's also, there's this other thing where, and I'm not the only person who says the boycotts of Tesla are working, but for the longest time, buying an electric vehicle was seen as effeminate or not masculine. And what kind of weirdo loser would buy that? You need a real truck. And now the right wing is trying to make this turn, and I don't think they're going to be super successful, to try to replace the Ford F-150 with the Cybertruck. This is actually actively happening right now.
Yes, I've seen.
And if we can continue the boycott and keep that share price dropping, then what you have is a death spiral for Elon Musk. One that I want to see, and I know all of you do too. Like, come on. That would be just wonderful to watch him slowly obliterate. But with that, some of the largest support for Trump that exists, business people at large are not excited about Trump right now. The reason that, and I'm going to say this as a white middle American guy, that's fine. But the reason that Ford F-150s and Ford trucks and these trucks do what they do is because, you use them. The Tesla Cybertruck can't do shit. You need a truck to do things. That's why supposedly you have them, or you have them to fake that you do things. If you buy a Cybertruck, not only can you not do things, you're not faking that you can do things. I don't understand how they think that's going to get across. It's like I'm a Jeep guy, and my Jeep has been 45 degrees up, almost rolling over, terrifying my poor wife while we were in Death Valley. I adore this stuff. There are Jeeps that are purchased so people can think that that's what you do. That's a reality. You'll never make the switch to an electric car like a Tesla Cybertruck to be like this masculine symbol of everything. It's a piece of shit. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's so weird, dude. But it's a good news. I think if we're going to end on a happy note, look, here is this is the graphic that matters. This is Elon's leverage. This is the Elon's leverage shares. And this is, again, wealthy people and wealthy businesses run purely on debt. Anyone who says debt is not how a business runs doesn't understand business or is lying. And here's where he's at. This is the setup. And the entire thing is incredible to see. 58% leveraged. And when we talk about what price it needs to hit for this to become a death spiral, it's kind of funny. We're not far. Well, keep pushing.
Hi,
a happy thought.
Oh, I don't have a happy thought, but I have a secret to tell you.
No, it's about a happy thought. Hello?